progressives and real progress in action. This is a tough, tough night for me. Um, I'm feeling like, like really, really, really conflicted here. Bernie Sanders had um, really, really sparked an entire movement across this nation when he started running against Hillary Clinton. And during that first run, there's no one that thought Bernie had a chance to win at the time. And then as things progressed, we started believing. The organization was still just developing. The establishment put its thumb on the scale, and we all just went back to sleep and allowed the rigging to occur. Many of us checked out. Many of us were despondent. But then we all kind of came back into it, and we said, you know what, he's still the best chance we've got. The message is still the same. The platform's even better. The network's even better. All the people that are involved are top notch. And then we went to Las Vegas. We were in Iowa. We were in New Hampshire. And the word was Sanders is unstoppable. Unstoppable. Chris Matthews was losing his shit. Every media outlet was losing their shit. And then slowly but surely you saw the Democratic Party's goal was to stop Sanders at all costs. It didn't matter if they gave the presidency one more time to Donald Trump. They were first focused on stopping Bernie Sanders. I want you to think about that. Their first priority was to stop Bernie Sanders. Bernie's policies, hugely, wildly popular, even amongst regular core vote blue Democrats. Wildly popular amongst independents that would have supported the party gladly. Wildly supported by the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. And even supported by some Republicans, ironically, who just wanted a straight shooter in office. But that didn't work for the establishment. They conspired. And when they taste tested to see whether Kamala Harris could win anybody, they realized she was a dud. And then when they tried Buttigieg and realized there wasn't any black people that were going to vote for him, he fell out. And one by one, they all fell out until Elizabeth Warren, who stuck around just long enough to truly cost Sanders any shot. And then by Super Tuesday, every one of the lined up right behind Biden because he was the one left standing. He was the one corporate Democrat left standing, the neoliberal left standing to stop Sanders. And like a good party machine, they rigged it once again for a guy who didn't even have a pulse in Iowa, who barely showed up in New Hampshire, who was roundly destroyed in Nevada. But all of a sudden, he became this unstoppable force. Now, if you believe that, even for a second, you're crazy. Which leads us to Bernie. I've been a huge Bernie Sanders supporter from the moment he announced, and before that even, but from the moment he announced. I supported his policies and still do. I supported his economic team and wildly still do. I supported his legacy of 40 years of trying to get shit done and bring these issues to the surface. Nothing's changed there. I respect what Bernie Sanders has done for all of us in terms of getting these issues out and about. But what I don't respect is the decision to endorse Joe Biden at this point. What I don't respect is now we have no voice taking to the convention and beyond the very issues and the very economic plan that Sanders was running on. Now, you can say we've got the Green Party doing this stuff, but they've got no platform. In fact, I offered to interview one of the candidates, and they saw it. I saw in their chat that they saw it, ignored it. So we don't have anyone willing to carry the message forward. Now, Bernie may get an opportunity to speak at the convention, and Bernie's going to have some delegates that he can say, hey, here are these delegates. I'd like you to consider what our group wants. And once again, the party who felt it was more important to stop Sanders than to beat Trump is going to tell progressives once again, shut up. You're acting childish. You're acting like a petulant child. Wow, you didn't get your way, Bernie bro. You racists, you angry white men, you homophobes, you this, you that. You child, you immature, stupid, idiotic progressives. Eat your peas and shut up and fall in line like a good little shithead, like a good little peasant. I respect Bernie beyond words. He did for us what we could not do, but Bernie has put his eggs in the basket of Joe Biden and said today in no uncertain terms, we got to get you in the White House. I wholly endorse Joe Biden. And I think every Democrat, every independent, and even some Republicans should vote for Joe Biden. And I wholly endorse you, Joe. That doesn't sound like a lot of leverage going into the convention. Now, I'll tell you right now, having spoken with Ryan Grimm, who takes a little bit more of an establishment position, or at least is more sympathetic to the establishment position. He said, quite frankly, Bernie ran a contradictory campaign. He ran a campaign that was A, saying I'm revolutionary, while B, simultaneously calling Joe Biden a friend, not criticizing Chuck Schumer, talking about a nebulous Democratic establishment while simultaneously being best friends with all of those people that are fighting against Medicare for all, that are fighting against eliminating student debt, that are fighting against any kind of real robust Green New Deal. And that's one of the contradictions, if you will, in the Sanders campaign that left many people wondering. And that's why you see many on the left say, I can't support Bernie. And it's a shame. He had a great platform, but he had everyone against him. Everyone. The vote blue, no matter who, only mattered except for Bernie, because here's the deal. You heard every one of these people saying Bernie's not a real Democrat. Well, fuck you very much. I think he just proved, unfortunately, that he's every bit a real Democrat, which is just painful to say. He didn't see a path forward. His own national spokesperson, Brianna, said, Bernie, I love you. I respect you beyond words. You have done more for me. You're a man of integrity. You're a good man. And I agree with her 100%. But Bernie Sanders had $250,000. Excuse me. I guess it was $250 million, actually. Excuse me. $250 million of donations to fight this fight. They weren't just giving him money to go up there and say things. They were giving him money. We were giving him money to fight to the end for us, not for him. I don't care. I mean, I like and love what Bernie did. I want to be crystal clear. But when we donated, we didn't donate for the man. We donated because we're suffering for real, not like in some figurative sense. Teeth rotting out of our mouth. Freaking going bankrupt over medical debt. Scared to go to the doctor for fear of another bill. Scared of getting surgery for fear of the anesthesia bill that they don't tell you about that comes in after. You know what I'm talking about. Scared your mortgage. Scared of your student debt. Scared of the bills and laws that Joe Biden was personally responsible for, like the student debt never being dischargeable. That same Joe Biden, we're going to act like is somehow or another a lesser evil. Now, folks, Joe Biden was instrumental in passing the crime bill that put so many African Americans behind bars. Joe Biden was instrumental in making bankruptcy more difficult for regular people to work through. Joe Biden is being accused of rape by Tara Reade. And anybody that gave a shit about the Me Too movement that doesn't recognize this is really, really putting all women that have ever been raped or ever had a problem in a very bad place. This is worse than Hillary attacking Monica instead of attacking Bill. It's the same don't ask, don't tell if it's a Democrat. Act like it's freaking the devil if it's a Republican mindset that has plagued us for half a century. And definitely since the Reagan administration. And when Brother Bill came out there with the third way, and they gave up all pretense of FDR and reinvented government and made it leaner and meaner and did welfare reform. Ever since then, those same Democrats won by eliminating the progressive voice. They said it's more important that we bond with moderate Republicans because fuck those progressives. And what they did by doing this is they said, we're willing to bet that we can lose without you, and we don't care because you're going to fall in line because we're going to tell you about the Supreme Court, and we're going to tell you about Donnie Tiny Hands, the orange Cittadini. We're going to tell you all about him, and then we're going to remind you about Russia. Never mind that impeachment was an abject failure. Never mind that it took away from focus on a Green New Deal when we've got climate change bearing down on us. Never mind that in the middle of a pandemic, we've got a fiscal conservative that has the imagination of a rock with zero platform, zero concern for people, told young people, shut up, I have no empathy for you. And this is what Sanders said today that he fully endorses and that we've got to beat Donald Trump. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart into about 1,000 pieces. Now, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I'm really not, because I have no idea what to do. I feel like the left has nothing left to do right now except for organize and educate people about our issues. I feel like the election was taken from us without a fight. I feel like there is no meaningful debate. Joe Biden couldn't handle a debate. And now I'm hearing about even worse conservative Andrew Cuomo possibly being pinch hit for Biden. People talk about this, all conspiracy talk. Who knows what will happen? Whether they're going to bring Hillary off the bench and bring in the relief, or whether it'll be Jolton Joe. Who knows? All I know is that Joe Biden, I don't think he has a single issue that sounds even moderately progressive. And anything he said in that interview today with Bernie Sanders was meant to be a sales pitch to progressives to stop the hashtag Never Biden movement from coalescing. They know it's a real deal. They know that they'll lose without progressives. They already know this. They've already experienced it once. And they didn't care. It was more important to shut down the quote-unquote revolution and our movement and tell us to shut up and eat our peas than it was to find out what it meant to fight for rights, for education as a right, for health care as a right, for a Green New Deal. How in the world is Joe Biden fighting for a Green New Deal when Joe Biden is on the payroll of the entire petrol industry? How is Joe Biden fighting for Medicare for all when he's on the payroll of the entire freaking medical industry and the big pharma industry? How is Joe Biden fighting for bailing out Main Street when Joe Biden is on the payroll for Wall Street? How is Joe Biden fighting to put an end to wars when Joe Biden himself gets a good chuckle out of the wars that went on during the goddamn Obama administration with Hillary pushing Benghazi and all the rest of it? Here we are in 2020, and it feels like it's 2016 all over again. The only difference here is back in 2016, we had a Green Party we were looking at. And right now, we can't even get any acknowledgement of the real things that we had pushed for. The Green Party has shot down the entire MMT platform. They have a money reform thing based in Ron Paul economic illiteracy. They've allowed the Ron Paul movement to infest them. So there's no, it stinks. There's no openness to changing that. Expert upon expert upon expert has been brought into the Green Party only to have them rejected outright. Their national delegation rejected an MMT lens something like 90-some%. That is terrifying. And then we've got Movement for a People's Party. They've got no electoral power right now. It's not like they're going to put a presidential candidate up there. So you're left with the duopoly or a guy who won't even go on progressive news radio to talk about his platform. And that is just about as terrifying as you can get. Terrifying. So, Bernie, I'm sorry, but for this progressive, your platform is my marching order, but your endorsement, I'm just going to have to pass on that. I'm looking at a Green New Deal, and I hope we can educate enough people to push for it, whether we're in power or out of power. For Medicare for all, I would like to see a national health service where we have no copays and health care is treated as a right. Student debt, I'm so tired of seeing people straddled with this debt that they can't get out from. And the boomers that got away with murder by being able to go to school for free or with very, very little debt, talking about how, well, when I was a boy, I'm telling you right now, you haven't carried $120,000 of student debt on your neck trying to compete in a world that doesn't have jobs. And the fact that there's a federal job guarantee that was in Bernie's platform, Joe Biden's not advancing a federal job guarantee. And if he does, it'll be a pile of shit neoliberal one. It's a shame. It's a real shame. As a progressive, you have every right to be upset right now. I think Bernie Sanders did wonderful stuff for us. This movement was never about one person. So I'm not going to sit there and pack it in and lose sleep over it. Bernie made a decision. It's not a decision I support in any way, shape, or form, but he made a decision. But his platform, from universal child care to free college and trade schools, to paid family and medical leave, to expanded Social Security for those people who can't work or don't want to work, and for those who do, a federal job guarantee to provide a just transition out of these dirty industries that are polluting the planet, and a firm shift away from fossil fuels. That platform is my blueprint forward, with or without a champion in the White House. That is movement stuff right there, friends. That is what we fight for. Don't lose a second of time here grousing about one individual. The blueprint is there for unifying the left. The blueprint is there. That is the holy grail of blueprints. Because one thing is for sure, and this is the part maybe that is the most difficult for me to realize. Not only do the Vote Blue sycophants watch mainstream media and suckle it like it's the truth, but they don't check out alternative media, and they trust what people like Rachel Maddow and Chris Matthews say. They trust it. Even when it's fact-checkable that they're wrong, they trust it. So short of getting into their living rooms and sitting down with them and showing them people suffering on a webcam in the middle of freezing temperatures without a home or something like that, they won't understand and they won't care. They're comfortable. So the idea of pushing beyond what Bernie Sanders' platform was put out there sounds good. But you've got to win those people to have a chance. Or you have two choices. This is where it gets tricky. You have electoral reform. You have elections. You have the political system. Or you have revolution. It's an either or thing. You're just bitching if you're not voting. Or if you're not revolting. You're just bitching. You got one or the other. And the thing is that far too often, the quote-unquote direct actions are one-day things. They're one-day events that people get the T-shirt, they get the pussy hat, they get the great pictures and selfies with their fist in the air, but that's it. And then it stops. There's no demands. There's no follow-through. There's no campaign-driven activism. Very little. And so that leaves you with very little power to affect change. Right now, during a serious pandemic, we've got very different things going on as well. So the challenges are very real. How do we communicate this message beyond our bubble? How do we get it out there and show the logic of it, not the insanity of it? How do we demonstrate to people that these things are infinitely affordable? Look at the way we were able to afford taking care of various aspects of our economy while it's been shut down. We can afford everything that I laid out there that Bernie had pushed for. So as a left movement, if you don't have a direct and distinct understanding of how federal finance works, and you think we got to tax our way there, which we just proved is bullshit, then we're going to be stuck in neutral again. I don't want to go through that again, because so much of the reason why the Bidens of the world look even remotely viable is because so much of the left had no idea how to explain how to fucking pay for Bernie's programs. And that's the fact, Jack. So we got a lot of work to do, friends. We got to educate a lot of people outside of our bubbles. We got to fight like hell, because time is ticking and physics doesn't negotiate. Bernie, thank you for all the efforts you put forward. We'll take it from here. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progress in Action and Real Progressives. Have a good day, everybody. I'm out.